Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade Universal Century Baund Doc from Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam. Now this is one unique high-grade right here. It's colorful, it's huge, it looks like a big old jackal, it's got asymmetrical arms, and in general, this thing right here is awesome. If you do want one of your own, as usual, this video right here would not have been possible without those absolutely awesome people over at Hobbylink Japan. So if you do want one of your own, link is down there in the description, as well as 5% off. Now here we go. So that right there is the high-grade Baund Doc just snapped together, one snip off the runner, and a little bit of panel lining. And all I can say is this is one unique mobile suit, and one of the most unique high-grades I've seen in a long time. It's huge, it's pink, it's got a big old claw, and it's got a head like a jackal. Honestly, if you're looking for something new, unique, and completely different to go with the rest of your high-grade collection, especially if it's a Zeta collection, you need this kit right here. So first off, I will mention that I'm not sure how well the colors on this kit will translate in the video, but these are crazy. Of course, first off, we've got that absolutely crazy pink, but that green that we see all over the wires on this kit, which I will mention are kind of springy rubber, those really pop against that pink. And then we've got all of that fluorescent yellow. This is one zany looking kit, and without a doubt, classic Zeta aesthetics right here. So not only does this thing look crazy, it's also crazy big. There it is beside a standard high-grade Gundam, which is the Revive RX-78-2, and there it is beside a master grade standard size Gundam. So this is a big old dog right here. As for another couple of size comparisons, there it is beside the small little core Gundam, there it is side by side with Gundam Hajiroboshi from Iron-Blooded Orphans, and it even stands head and shoulders over a massive mobile suit like Sazabi, but then again, this right here is not a mobile suit, it's a mobile armor, and we'll see that transformation a little bit later on. So taking all of these unique factors, the size, the look, the asymmetry, this is one unique Gunpla and one unique Gunpla building experience. Even up on the shelf, this does quite well against a whole host of even bigger, fancier, more expensive kits, including master grades and perfect grades. It still stands out so much because it is so unique. So once again, if you're looking for something different, this might be the one for you. So there's that full 360-degree spin so you can see every angle of this absolute beast for yourself, just in case I forget to mention anything. Once again, this is one unique build. The plastic is quite nice, but not the greatest. The colors are very vivid, but they do mark quite a bit. But it is very soft and nice to work with, so it should be no issue to clean up whatsoever. Also, I will throw in a bit of a spin of what this thing will look like without that big waist unit section, because if you're like me, you might be thinking, what would this look like if it was thinned down a little bit if you wanted to customize it into a more traditional style mobile suit that doesn't have the elements of the mobile armor. So there you go. Also, a little bit of trivia right here, because the name Baund Doc seems really weird. It seems like it doesn't make any sense. But if you look at the Japanese right here, where it says Baund Doc, all they did was take this thing right here, which is called a 1010, from the end of this word and put it to the beginning of the word, because this is essentially just the word hound dog. So this thing right here is a dog-themed mobile suit. But anyway, let's move on. So now moving on to the accessories, and here's the high-grade Baund Doc with absolutely everything that it comes with. So what that is the rifle, a single beam saber, but we do get two beams, the diffuse mega particle cannon. This is a kit that does come with swappable fingers, so that's a trigger finger, a holding hand, and the widespread holding hand that's been on it so far during this review. And finally, we do get a full action base in here, as well as action base adapter, and that does include all of the extras that are left over on the runner, which are a bunch of different holding segments for using with that. The beam saber in here is fairly generic. The beam is the same old beam we usually see, and the handle right there is just all one piece of gray. That is all. Attaching this is extremely simple. First you just pop the fingers on for holding it, then you just slide it down into the hand, which is very simple. But I will mention this is a very long beam saber attaching into a hand with a permanent shield bit attached to it. So what that does mean is it's kind of hard to get any kind of poses out of this. It just kind of clashes with that armor a lot of the time. Once again, it's not the worst, but you're going to be doing a lot of arm rotating as opposed to a lot of wrist rotating. Depending on the way you have bent the arm like this, you can bring this back a little bit to get a bit more, but you're getting some very funny arm positions right there. And also, as far as I can tell from the instructions, when you're not actually using the beam saber, there isn't anywhere on the mobile armor here in which to store it, sadly. Next up in here is the beam rifle. This is a little bit on the plain side, but then again, it's not so bad. It's mainly just made out of grey plastic, but we do have a nice clear section in the front for that lens. Now, this isn't this shiny out of the box. I just noticed that there was a real missed opportunity with this kit. Bandai really should have included a nice silver sticker for behind that because it's perfectly designed to have one. So I just took the little sheet of stickers right here, cut a square of that silvery foilness to size, and then just stuck it in behind that, then put in the clear piece. This makes that lens pop so much more than if you just use the clear piece over basic plastic. So I recommend doing this. It's so simple to do, and it is so effective. So anyway, there is an example of the high-grade Baund Doc holding onto the beam rifle. And I will mention, because I didn't already, this is panel-lined. Unlike the beam saber, when this is not in use, it does have somewhere to stick on, and that is right here on the side, on this little peg right there. I will also mention this thumb always just falls out on me. There's many kits like this around with a movable thumb, but none quite as loose as this. This is just a fairly bad design, so be careful with that, as it is a bit of a loss risk. And as for this right here, which is the diffuse mega particle cannon, we'll take a look at that later on once we've transformed it to mobile armor mode, but for now, let's check out that articulation. So now moving on to the articulation, and I will use this here action base. This is just a kind of cradle that pops right onto the crotch like so. Does exactly what you want it to, nice and sturdy. So in general, this is a very unique kit. It does not really have any polycaps besides a couple of these ball style ones. For the most part, it is plastic on plastic. In general, the build is quite sturdy for something that is quite large, but I will mention you will need to tighten up this waist here because this does sag over time, especially if you're holding any weapons or the claw outwards. I do find it does tend to kind of droop a little bit like this, so as usual, just tying that up with whatever you like to use. First up, the ears in here. These are on ball joints, so they can do a lot, very expressive. The neck in here is just a variant of your standard giggity 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 goo double ball joint. This has a very good range of motion, so you can get a lot of nice expressive movements out of this. Once again, so far, this is a very unique kit. The shoulders in here are similar but different. Both can move upwards just like so. This one a whole lot more. Besides that, we've got a little bit of rotation on both shoulders that does not affect the arms. As for the entire reach up of the arms, that's what we get on that side. This is what we get on the other side, so a little bit more on the grey arm. As for the shoulder rotation, full rotation on this side. Full rotation on this side. We also have full rotation here at the upper arm on the grey arm. Two what I guess you could call elbow joints. One up here which allows for that. One down here which allows for that. The navy blue section of the shield has a lot going on. This can move around a lot. So it has 2 points of articulation. That's one here. One down a little bit lower which allows it to move back. Actually, I'll just pop this off so you can see. It's a lot clearer without that attached. So one down bottom, it's just a hinge. And one up top, once again a hinge. And both of these combined gives you a lot. As for the lower pink section, this is a single hinge which allows it to move back and forth like so. And the wrist in here is your standard ball joint. The big old crab arm on the other side is quite different. We only have a point of rotation down here. We've got nothing up here. As for the bend at the elbow, that's 1 point of bending. Maybe there's 2. There is 2, but the upper one you don't get a whole lot out of. Maybe you can get more this way. Yeah, you can actually get a lot more outwards than you can to the front. The wrist down here, that is a ball and socket. The 2, what I can only call thumb segments right here, these are also on a polycap ball joint, so these can move around just like so. A lot of range of motion on those. We also have a bend at this digit here, and a bend at this one right here. The upper segments are a lot simpler and can just swing in like this and like that. So on the whole, this claw has a whole lot going on. As for the waist in here, we've got 3 points of articulation. The top one, which moves him like that. The midpoint, which moves ever so slightly back and forward. And then the lower one, which lowers him in a lot and is probably part of the transformation. Down to that big old booty, and we've got some of these, well, I guess side skirt hatches, which can open up like so. Once again, part of the transformation. Around in the back, moving thrusters up and down here, ball joints on these guys right here, kinda weak. We've got a hatch right here, once again, probably part of the transformation I haven't done yet. And as for the legs, these are pretty much your standard set of hip joints, just a little bit bigger. So there's not really much point in going on about what each one does individually because a lot of this is blocked. So let's just check out what kind of kicks it can do. So first up, there is the kick all the way to the front, which is not a lot, as you'd expect. There is the kick all the way out to the back, so as far as you'd expect that to go, so looking weird. The whole big booty section can rock forward and back like this at the joint in the crotch. And is there any chance this thing can pull off the splits? Well, let's try and get these out those hatches, and yeah, pretty much. Up inside of there then, we've got that full leg rotation. Piece of knee armor can rock up and down. I just removed that whole waist section just for the sake of clarity at this point. So anyway, the knee can bend a little bit forward like this. It has a 2-point bend to the back, which is extremely nice. The ankle down here is a ball joint, which has quite a bit to it, just blocked by the sides of the armor. The feet as well are claws, so this can bend down like this, and these can bend up like so, and come together in a nice, awesome, grabby claw. So the articulation on the high-grade Baund Doc is actually better than I expected. You get a lot out of what is a big, weird, bulky kit. Of course, once the waist section is on there, like it would be all of the time, it does limit what it could potentially do, but not quite as badly as I expected it would have. On the whole though, definitely impressed. Now let's check out that transformation. So when it comes to transformations, I always like to do them the first time on camera because I want to give a good, fresh insight into what it's like to transform a kit as an absolute beginner. Because over time, of course, you'll get used to it, you'll perfect it, but it's the first time that really can be the most awkward depending on how difficult it is. Now this kit right here, this is a finicky, awkward transformation. Sure, it is a full transformation, which is fantastic. There isn't any parts forming elements to it. You lose a hand while building it, but that is it. But besides that, it's all one beautiful, seamless transformation. It just is not that simple. So what I ended up with in the end, and it did take me 7 minutes and 22 seconds to wreck this transformation, but what I got was something similar to the mobile armor mode, just not quite as tucked, tight, and clicked into position as I would have liked it to be. I also lost a couple of bits while building it, so this transformation right here did kind of bring out the worst in this kit. So yeah, I did fiddle with it a little bit and got it to rest down a little bit better. It does seem to hold in somewhat with pressure, and you just have to get that big old grey arm just right, but otherwise it looks pretty cool. It does attach into the base now, somewhat off to the side, which can cause it to lean a bit, but still this is a really cool mobile armor. And once again, it is awesome that this is one seamless transformation. Anyway, that right there is it for the high-grade Baund Doc, and I have to say this right here is gold tier for the main reason that you never get cool non-Federation kits like this that often, especially when it comes to something like Zeta Gundam. The more Zeta Gundam weird off-the-wall mobile suits they release, the better. If you're looking for a completely unique build and a completely unique building experience, this right here might be exactly what you're looking for. To sum it up, it's somewhat like a Reborn 100, but not really. The little rubbery bits, they feel Reborn 100. The hand, it feels Reborn 100, but the rest of the kit feels so much better. It is lacking polycaps, so that does mean it holds together quite well, but the transformation can be a little bit on the finicky side. But on the whole, I 100% recommend this right here. If you do want one of your own, there's a link down there in the description. You can get yours through Hobbylink Japan. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. Once again, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys. Whether you just watch my videos, like them, or support the channel on the channel memberships and over on Patreon. Like Craig Jerry, Greg Humphrey, Kaiser721, Tyler Sanders, Caleb Engelhardt, Sean T, and the ambassador for Asymmetric Cat.